Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 209 of the Club JG podcast. I'm your host, yours truly, John Graham, a.k.a. JG. With me right now is two new guys in the podcast game from the Before the Snap podcast. I have Mr. Peter and I have Dan. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
What is up?
Thank you for having us.
I love the intro. Very catchy intro we got there. I don't know if you could tell I was vibing my head there.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I appreciate that, fellas. Hey, thank you for giving me some of your time here. Guys, make sure before you leave this video today, make sure you click and subscribe to the Before the Snap podcast. Make sure you get those guys on the follow on social media as well.
Just follow all of us.
Yeah, follow
everybody. Everybody.
Show love to everyone. Let's go.
Absolutely. So fellas, this past weekend we had the college football playoff selection show. Just to run down the rankings for everyone who wasn't there for it. The Indiana Hoosiers take the number 1 spot after beating the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten Championship. Ohio State, the runner-up, is right behind them at number 2, followed by the Georgia Bulldogs, the SEC champions, the Big 12 champion Texas Tech Red Raiders coming in at number 4, Oregon Ducks at 5, Ole Miss at 6, Texas A&M at 7, Oklahoma at number 8, Alabama at number 9, Miami number 10. And I'm trying to make sure I got these rankings right. And of course, we got Tulane and James Madison filling out those last 2 spots. A little surprise there, but not so much. So, fellas, question on everyone's mind, elephant in the room. Everyone saw Alabama get smoked in the SEC championship by Georgia. As we know, earlier in that year, Alabama went into Athens, Georgia, and beat the Bulldogs, on their home field. So a lot of people were wondering, maybe we shouldn't judge them off of a conference championship. It was a neutral site, even though it really wasn't neutral. It was in Atlanta, for crying out loud. Yeah. So a lot of people didn't think that Alabama should have got in based off that poor performance. What do you guys think about this? Do you think Alabama deserved to be in over the likes of Notre Dame and Texas?
Well, I'll start with this. First of all, every Georgia neutral site game is a home game. Every single one. It's always in Atlanta, unless they're playing Georgia Tech, which they did a few weeks ago in Atlanta. But the problem is with that is Bama got their butts kicked. We know that. And normally I don't have a problem with them. I don't have a problem with them getting in. I don't. I could see the argument. I think they probably should have, but again, I see the argument for them not being in. The only thing is, how are we going to punish or not punish Bama for losing their conference championship, but punishing BYU? Mind you, BYU entering the Big 12 championship was 11-1, and their one loss was against a top 5 Texas Tech team. Now, Texas Tech decided to just own the state of Utah and just, whoop them. But, that does confuse me a bit, but that's besides the point. My question going forward for the committee, if they somehow stumble on this, which would be awesome. College Football Committee, hi, how we doing? What needs to happen for a team to get kicked out of the playoffs based off their conference championship game? How many points do they need to lose by? Is it 30? Is it 40? Is it 50? What's the precedent that's being set here from that? How many losses do you need, does it take to get in? And congrats to Georgia. I thought Bama was going to win. I thought it was going to be a slow defensive game. Georgia was just like, nah, fam, I'm good. We'll finally beat the Crimson Tide here. And it was very interesting. Going outside of that, imagine 2 years ago, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, saying Indiana would be the number 1 seed in the college football playoff, a 12-team college football playoff, after beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, and their quarterback is likely going to win the Heisman. You know how absurd that sounds? But that's the new era of college football. We're going to be seeing teams like Indiana, Vanderbilt, and other obscure college football teams make the college football playoffs.
And I got to tell you, just to piggyback off just your point there, I think the thing with BYU, the fact that they got blitzed by Texas Tech twice, I don't think helped their case. You got beat pretty bad the first matchup. Then you come back into the conference championship, get whooped again. I don't think they really helped your cause as far as getting yourself, making a case for the playoff. And it's a new era of college football, as we all know. A lot of we had a conversation just now off the air about some coaches need to kind of gravitate and understand this is the modern day of college football. This is what we need. And he's going back to his
that one
there. Dabble Sweeney, if you're seeing this, hey man, look, it's time to come to grips. This is what it's going to be. But yeah, but then it's like I look at Duke. Duke football went 8-5 and won their conference championship in ACC. They're not in the playoff. So now my question is okay, what are we going to do here? Are we going to do conference championships matter anymore? If they don't, just get rid of them and then crown a champion at the end of the regular season. Just move on with it. Because at this point, it almost feels like there's no point in having a conference championship.
Realistically, there probably shouldn't be conference championships with this new 12-team playoff. Now, they're not getting rid of them. That's not happening. Makes too much money. Okay, from a business standpoint, that would be just silly to do. But you're right. The more I think about it and the more I've talked about it with people, the more I've discussed it, the conference championships are kind of pointless as of right now. But I wonder if they get rid of like automatic bids for every single conference, do you think conference championships would matter a bit more depending on the circumstances? Because let's say hypothetically here, let's say we just talked about Clemson. Let's say Clemson and Miami are both 10-2, both have a similar resume, and they play each other, and one of them beats the other. They're around 8 and 9 or 10 around that seeding, and one loses and they're kicked out. I feel like in that case, the conference championship would matter more. But when you think about it as well, because this is a situation that would happen if we get rid of it, then the team's going to be like, why are you punishing us for making the conference championship? And that's the case. That's going to happen. Any hypothetical scenario with that is going to happen. Because I discussed this with my dad last year, and he said the ACC, because he's a Bama fan like you, and he said one of these years a 9-3 ACC team is going to win it all or win the ACC, or 8-4. And turns out he was right. It was 7-5, turned 8-5. So hats off to my dad. But
Dan, where are you with all this? Do you feel like Alabama should have gotten in over those teams I mentioned, Notre Dame and Texas? What are your thoughts on this with the whole?
So the way I thought about it was, from what I know, Bama has been in Georgia multiple times throughout the years. I think this is the first time that Georgia has actually been Bama in a long time, and they get blown out. So that kind of suspects, like, you get blown out, you still get in. I knew Bama was going to get in because they're Bama. And if you're telling me in the players you want to see Georgia versus Alabama part 2, like, everyone wants to see that. So, but yeah, I think Bama was going to get in regardless.
Yeah, for me, it did shock me that Alabama got in because of the way that they looked in the SEC championship, with all eyes on them, against the team you went into Athens and beat. At least compete. If you had lost, like, say 24-21 or something like that, well, no, probably wouldn't even hold it against you. Like, all right, cool, you might drop a spot, but you're still in the playoff. But the way that you got owned in that SEC championship was so glaring. It was like, wait, are we sure that Bama is one of the best teams, and will they give us a good college football playoff? I don't know how you really fix this system, because I think if you add more teams, there's going to be new drama, just like there was new drama from adding 4 to 12. So it's hard. I just think the system is flawed no matter what you do. I think all this really started, with the best team versus the most deserving team. Like, ever since we had that one year when TCU got in over Alabama, I don't know if you guys remember that year, when TCU got in over Alabama.
2022.
A lot of Bama fans were outraged by that. And then it ended up being one of the worst national championship games we've ever seen, with Georgia absolutely blitzing them by 50-plus points. Felt like 100, for crying out loud. Like, people were hoping, like, is there a white flag rule in college football so they could just end this game? That's how bad it was. So I think after that, that's what really prompted this system of, like, okay, look, now is there some SEC bias? Maybe, it's possible, but at the same time, it's like, hey, the SEC oftentimes has the best teams in America. Let's just call it what it is. When you talk about best conference from top to bottom, yeah, the Big Ten's got some great teams like that are at the top. But if you look conference for conference, I think consistently the deepest conference has been the SEC. So is there some bias there? Yeah, maybe. But I think the SEC really backs it up. What do you guys think?
The thing with me is I'm not surprised Bama got in. I wasn't surprised by that at all. I'm surprised they didn't drop. They stayed where they were.
Yeah.
And even when me and my dad were watching, he didn't think they were going to get in. He was just like, yeah, we suck. We don't deserve to be in after that performance. It's 3 losses. And then when they announced it, he completely flipped. He's like, let's go. We're back in it. But I was shocked that they didn't drop. I thought they were going to get it. I didn't think that I had some questions, but I knew they were going to get in. I thought it would be Miami over them and then Bama at 10. But that shows me that the committee didn't really value that loss, which again brings me back to my point where, how much does a team have to lose by, or what are the circumstances? We just discussed that. But you said something interesting. Do you think Bama should have been invited to the playoffs before Notre Dame and Texas? I'm just gonna get the Texas one out of the way. Texas had no shot. No. That was not happening. You lose to a 4-8 Florida. That's unacceptable. Really, losing to Ohio State, that hurt them as well. I think Ohio State losing to Indiana only made their case worse, but Texas was never going to get in. Notre Dame, listen, I understand Notre Dame got hot after losing to Miami and A&M. They played absolutely nobody. Their best one was against USC. Ooh, shiver me timbers.
Thank you.
Like this, their schedule was just not good enough. When they played good teams like Miami, who I like Miami, I don't think they're going to make it far. They're probably going to lose to A&M, but they're in, so congrats to them. And you lose. And speaking of A&M, you lose to them as well. So right now it's just the BND Bowl between Miami and A&M. They might just come together and sing Kumbaya and dance on ND's playoff hopes. That's what's most likely going to happen.
I'm just going to read off Notre Dame's last games after they beat,
Go ahead.
The marquee USC team, which is number 20 at the time. They followed it up with Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford.
Oh, talk about a gauntlet of a schedule there.
My goodness.
I'm glad Notre Dame. I'm so glad Notre Dame didn't get in.
Yeah. Me too.
Because again, we're tired of this old school. We're so much cooler than everyone. We don't need a conference. Let's stay independent.
Yeah. We're Notre Dame. Look at our brand.
I mean, enough. I'm so sick of this independent Notre Dame garbage where it's and then they play these cakewalk schedules where they have to be 1 or 2 marquee games. And in fact, they lost one of the marquee games. They lost to Texas A&M at home, 41-40.
And they lost to Miami.
Those are the games that, to me, told the story about Notre Dame. Pretty good football team. Really good, very good coach in Marcus Freeman. I mean, he can
like Marcus Freeman.
Oh, honestly, if John Harbaugh gets fired, hey, Marcus Freeman, come to Baltimore, my friend. I'm just saying. But hey, it's the same story every year with some Notre Dame. It's they're pissed off because they feel like they don't get the respect that they deserve. Well, one, you're independent, so we don't know who you're going to play. And when we see your schedule, it's are you kidding me? What about this says that you're one of the elite teams in college football? Tell me.
You know what could have prevented this? Crazy thought. This just popped into my mind out of nowhere. You're going to look at me with shock when I say this.
I always do.
Maybe, just maybe, if you join a conference, this wouldn't happen. Now, listen, that's not going to happen. Again, from a business standpoint, they make, I believe, 20 to 22 million off of the NBC deal. I checked yesterday. So that's not happening. But nobody's going to respect you, especially with that schedule, if you're still independent. This isn't 1990 anymore. Penn State's joined the Big Ten, Miami, Pitt, Virginia Tech. The days of being an independent powerhouse program are gone. It's the new era. And not only that, it's incredible. If this doesn't show you how entitled Notre Dame is, they rejected their bowl game. They're like, I didn't want to be in the bowl game anyway. I didn't want to be in the stupid playoffs.
That's dumb.
It's incredible. Really it's ludicrous. Not only because I'm sure you've heard countless people say this. Not only are you screwing over your seniors,
yes,
you're not getting reps in for the new guys. And what if Jeremiah Love has a really good game as well? That could boost his draft stock even more. He's going to be a top tier pick. He's going to be a first round pick. That's no questions asked. You are screwed. You're only making yourself look worse here.
I hated that decision. I hated that decision.
It's a coward decision.
Look, I was a former college athlete, college basketball and everything. there's no way in hell that I would have rejected playing another game. Like coaches, in my opinion, that should have been a team decision, not just coach, not just the people upstairs that are running the team and all that, athletic director, whoever's running the team. That should have been a conversation with the entire team and get the feel of what the team wants to do. And like you said, you just screwed over those seniors who might want to play another game that could possibly help their draft stock.
Not only that, ticket sales, merchandising, like what are you doing here? You're making yourself look like absolute fools. It's incredible.
Yeah,
and mind you, this is
those kids, man. It's
exactly
like these kids, seniors, because I played football, so I know these kids need rep, especially as freshmen and sophomores, juniors. They need these reps, and they're playing a bowl game.
You have a true freshman, I believe, maybe not true freshman, I believe he's a redshirt freshman, in CJ Carr, who's gotten better as the year progressed. Hey, just a random idea here. I know it's crazy. Get more reps for your true star freshman quarterback. I know. Nobody's ever thought of it. Mind-blowing idea. And like you said, I mean, it just boosts morale. And every time I see this happen, look at Florida State a few years ago. At least they had the respect to play in their bowl game. They probably shouldn't have because they got their butts handed to them by Georgia. I mean, you're just setting a bad culture for you. And the crazy thing is this isn't even the first time this has happened. When they had Lou Holtz as their head coach in the 80s, he declined to play a bowl game. And ever since then, they haven't won a national championship. I would almost say if it weren't for those two national championship appearances, one in 2012 with Brian Kelly, where they got their butts handed to them by Alabama, and last year with Marcus Freeman, got their butts handed to them by Ohio State, Notre Dame has been totally irrelevant. Now, they're a big brand. They're one of the biggest, so they're never, ever going to be, truly irrelevant. They're not like a Nebraska or something. But when it comes to football, they haven't been there. Obviously, they made two national championship appearances, and they made two playoff appearances in 2018 and 2020. They've never been competitive. They're just a northern version of Oklahoma. I had to do it.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
Even Oklahoma has had more success than I wouldn't say so. But it's just it makes you look bad. It makes you look soft. And this is not what Rudy stood for. This is not what Rudy stood for. Notre Dame, you are a joke of a program. I hope this sets you back another 30 years.
Shots fired at Notre Dame. Guys, we're going to keep moving on that note to the NFL. I don't know if you heard, but it might be the end of an era in Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs dropped another game, 6-7 on the NFL season after losing at home to C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. Guys, are we witnessing the end of an era? Is Kansas City done? Like, they're not making the playoffs? Like, is it a done deal? They're in Kansas City that they will not be in this year's playoffs.
P, you want to go? Or?
I'll let you go.
I'm going to let you start this one off.
I'll let Dan go.
It's like when I always I make the joke on the podcast that I think Mahomes is the GOAT, just to make fun of Jameson, our other host, who's a Bengals fan who hates Mahomes. But what I was watching, don't get me wrong, the Texans defense is elite. It's really good.
Monster.
I think it's the best in the league.
And the way they were hands-on, the Chiefs receivers and the Chiefs O-line, like, it reminded me of I forgot what Super Bowl this was, Pete. Remind me of the Tampa Bay versus Chiefs, where
55.
Tom Brady.
55.
Oh, it was like he had no time, and I was like, wow. And I just think the Chiefs are done. Like, they've been terrible this whole year, and Mahomes needs help.
You think Mahomes needs more help?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to be the guy to be like, oh, the Chiefs are done. They're going to be terrible for the next 5 years.
Oh, no.
You still have Mahomes. You still have Andy Reid. For now, Travis Kelce's washed. He was the reason Mahomes had one of those interceptions. Yeah. I believe Chris Collinsworth said it best. Even when things are working, they're not. Something around like that. Yeah. He said that after the I believe it was the Rashee Rice fourth down drop. Just nothing's been working for them. It hasn't been working. Even when it is working, it's not. And I wonder, is this Andy Reid's last year? Because that would be a very interesting topic. I think there's a chance it is. It's Travis Kelce's last year. We know that.
Andy Reid's last year?
Yeah, no, he said this a couple of times. It's blasphemous.
I could see it. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not saying it's
Blasphemous.
gonna
No
happen.
way.
I
No
don't
way,
see
man.
it. Yeah, I don't see it. It's like
You
we got
never
Mahomes.
know.
Like they're always gonna be contenders for a Super Bowl. Obviously not this year because they're done. Like
They're bad.
yeah,
I can see Travis Kelce. I can see Travis Kelce retiring after this season for sure.
Yeah.
But I can also see Kansas City making a trade for a pretty good tight end to replace Kelce. I don't see Andy Reid going anywhere. I mean, he and Mahomes worked. You know, they work. It's like, hey, you got 3 championships in 5 years. Like, no way I'm letting that coach go unless I'm going like 3 straight losing seasons or something like that.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a weird year, like in football. Watching because I never even thought that Kansas City, even when they started out bad, that I thought they could miss the playoffs. I thought, hey, they're going to figure it out somehow. Somehow, you know, the teams that are ahead of them in the AFC West, we're going to crumble because it's the specter of a champion. You know, you know those guys are coming. It puts pressure on the guys that haven't been there yet. But the AFC West did get better this year, as a lot of people expected. The Denver Broncos did not look back. They continued to win, even when it looked ugly. And it's been very ugly for the Broncos at times on offense. But they've continued to win. The Chargers have a big one coming up right here with the Eagles. They got a chance to keep putting distance between themselves and the Chiefs. But I got to tell you, it's just like you look at this team and it's just like everyone was talking about, you know, wait till Rashee Rice gets back. Wait till Xavier Worthy gets back healthy. They got better on the offensive line. They addressed all this stuff. Before the season started, all these analysts were talking about like this year's Kansas City team would beat the brakes off the team from last year because they weren't that good. But the reality was it just came crumbling down. It's like I don't see them digging themselves out of this hole, and it's crazy. I mean, I was before that I was like, look, let me know when the word eliminated from playoff contention is listed next to Kansas City. That's when I'll believe that it's over. But after seeing what I saw last night, and again, Texas defense, and that leads into my next question. Absolute dog. Like, I don't know what team is going to play well against that. I saw what they did to now Mahomes, to Josh Allen, to a lot of really good quarterbacks, and to the point where it's like, hey, and that kind of helps me transition to this next question here. Could the Houston Texans be a sneaky Super Bowl pick out of the AFC?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because one, I think they're gonna win that division because unfortunately with Dan Jones, the Achilles tear, obviously that's terrible news. You don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
they're done for. There's only so much Jonathan Taylor can do for the Colts. He's had an amazing year, but the statement defense wins you championships, that's real, and they have the best defense. And as long as CJ Stroud is not turning the ball over and you're distributing the ball carefully, he's gonna win you games. And the AFC is so wide open because you have Bo Nix, Drake May.
Right now, Trevor Lawrence is like I think they're holding that 3 seed with the AFC South League, and then right now it's the Pittsburgh Steelers in that number 4 seed with the North.
Yeah, so like the AFC is so wide open because even though I think Josh Allen is a dog, he's not playing the same like he did last year or the Bills overall. So yeah.
I'm gonna say no. And it's for one simple reason. I do not trust that Texans O-line in the playoffs. You're telling me imagine this hype up. If you're really telling me that the Texans O-line is going to hold up against a Broncos defense, a Patriots defense, who else is it? A Chargers defense, if they make it in, a Bills defense with a lot more experience than they do. Any good defense against this Texans O-line is going to suffocate them. I mean, we've seen that, time and time again. So I think, listen, that defense is absolutely Super Bowl material. I'm not disagreeing there. It's the best defense in the league right now, I believe, statistically.
Yeah.
And on the eye test, definitely passes the eye test there. CJ Stroud, he does seem to get better in the playoffs, but and he started to pick it up, it seems. But I do need to see a bit more out of him. I need to see that rookie year CJ Stroud, a more energized version, so to speak. Obviously, this team needs to get healthy. They need Nico Collins to be healthy. That I always worry about that because Joe Mixon's not. They need more out of Woody Marks, their rookie running back, because Joe Mixon's not coming back this season. We know that. And overall, I've discussed this several times with Dan and our other host, Jameson. CJ Stroud is one of those quarterbacks, especially in the postseason, that can elevate his team to greater heights. And that to me is what separates the best QBs from good and even great quarterbacks. But you can only do so much with that just terrible O-line. And I do think that'll come back to haunt them.
Yeah.
It's a very good point about the Texas O-line. That was an issue going into this season with C.J. Stroud, and why the Houston Texans really had the very subpar start that they had. But then ever since they kind of like recently, they've done a lot of offensive line shuffling, and they think they found like what they want to stick with. But like you said, playoffs are a different animal. We'll see if what you think you fixed actually gets fixed. Because most of the time, when you have a weakness, it gets exposed times 10, like whatever that may be.
Yes,
so
it does.
Look, I'm buying stock into the Houston Texans. Am I ready to say Super Bowl pick? Nah, I don't know, because it's a good point to say with the O-line. And my thing is, yeah, defense can win you championships, but the offense got to get you to the championship first. The offense got to get you there. I'll be sure that this Texan offense is going to do enough to get them there. Now, if you can get enough points there, let your defense ride it out, you got a chance for sure. So I wouldn't shock me if the Texans actually found their way into the AFC Championship. Based on what I've seen around the AFC, like it's wide open. Am I really buying Denver and Bo Nix?
We don't know.
Again, great defense. I have questions about the offense overall.
The thing is, and this is why I don't think the Broncos are making the Super Bowl. I don't think the Texans are. Like you said, your defense can only do so much. If your offense is just laying a goose egg out there, your defense is going to get tired. Dan, obviously, you played football. You know this. You played basketball. This is for any sport. If your offense does nothing, your defense is going to slow down. It's how life works. How sports works. They're going to get tired. They're not going to feel any momentum shifts or energy. Yeah. And overall, I think that's just what would happen with the Texans. Now, I think they could win. They could absolutely win a playoff series, depending who they play. Yeah. I think they absolutely can, but I'm not ready to say Super Bowl yet.
Gotcha, man. So, sticking with the AFC here, one of the best stories in the NFL this season seems to be unraveling before our eyes as the Indianapolis Colts lose their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, to an Achilles injury. A guy who, I had some jokes for and everything, just for being Daniel Jones from the Giants. He was impressive this year. He really, he should win comeback player of the year, in my opinion. I mean, the guy played through broken bones and his fibula, still playing football, for crying out loud. Like, I got nothing but respect for that. So, but to see, Daniel Jones go down, it looks like Riley Leonard, the rookie quarterback out of Notre Dame, will be starting going forward. Do you see the Colts actually falling out of the playoffs entirely? Forget about the division. Do you see them falling out of the playoffs completely?
P, I'll let you start this one.
You're so kind, Dan.
All right.
No, I don't. I still think at the end of the day, the Colts will make it in. I think Jonathan Taylor has a game or two where he will carry the Colts to a win. And they're not winning the South. I think that – I know people think the Jaguars, no, give me the Texans there. I don't trust the Jags.
Okay.
And just I've said this before last week. I didn't like that Sauce Gardner trade because they weren't, in my eyes, they were never Super Bowl contenders this year. But
why is that? Like, specifically with Daniel Jones, with the defense, what was your thing with not
Daniel Jones? Because they relied too much on Jonathan Taylor. And listen, obviously, when you have an elite running back, that's great. In 2025, you cannot rely on your running back to win you games consistently. That's just not a sustainable process. And yes, Daniel Jones has been good, but it's also Daniel Jones. No disrespect to him. I don't trust him when the lights are bright. It's the same thing with Sam Darnold as well. That's why I'm not sold on the Seahawks yet, because I want to see Sam Darnold against a Rams defense in January, an Eagles defense in January, a Niners defense in January when healthy, Packers defense. I need to see it. Unfortunately, we're not going to see it this year with Daniel Jones. And Riley Leonard, he had his good moments at Notre Dame. He's not going to magically turn to Brock Purdy. You better pray to the Lord above Anthony Richardson just became an elite quarterback in the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah, for real.
But that's not happening. Unfortunately, I think the Colts season is over, and maybe you should have kept your first round pick, if you're asking me. I think they jumped the gun too quickly on that Sauce Gardner trade. I do think Sauce will be good for them, but I do think it'll come back to bite them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
For me, I'm looking at the schedule right now. They have Seattle, Niners, Jacksonville, and then Texans. That's
Yeah.
4 straight games. I think they could all lose. So that's 4 losses, and they're 8-5 right now. That's tough. That's really tough. So especially with Riley Leonard being the quarterback, I can see them being out of the player picture. And who knows? Maybe KC sneaks in. And if they win out, and if obviously Indy loses the rest of their games. But yeah,
We do not want that to be the case.
Yeah,
Indy,
Colts are
please.
done.
yeah.
Colts are absolutely done. I never bought into them to be Super Bowl contenders or anything like that. Again, nice story with Daniel Jones, playing decent football. But my thing was, everyone wants to tell me, look at who have you played? Who have you gone against? And right when I was about to actually buy into it, like, hey, maybe Daniel Jones, maybe I turned it around. It was the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. And after that first drive, I was like, you know what? Maybe he did. And then turnover, fumble. 5 turnovers later, it's like, no, never mind. It's still Daniel Jones. They're not going nowhere. And
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Agreed. Yeah. And the Steelers put out the blueprint on how to beat the Colts that day. Oh, I see what they're doing here. It's copycat lead, right? Let's stack the box and make sure Jonathan Taylor doesn't kill us. Daniel Jones, you think are you really that good now, or are you the same old Daniel Jones? Let's see. And we saw what happened in the Pittsburgh game. We saw what happened in the Kansas City game.
Texans.
The games where Jonathan Taylor is contained, they have no shot. And again, I hate that Daniel Jones got injured. I hate that with the broken leg and now the Achilles. Hate that for anybody, of course. But before that, the blueprint was already out on the Colts of how to beat them. So if Daniel Jones never got injured, knock on wood and everything, I don't think they win a playoff game, because I don't think Indianapolis is that dire of a home field advantage to begin with. When you're playing indoors or whatever, so it's not how much of a playoff atmosphere are we talking here?
Exactly.
And then, it's just like I said, your most glaring weaknesses are going to get magnified times 10. And I think that weakness was clearly stop the running game, make Daniel Jones beat you. I don't think that was going to work.
I know people joke about the nicknames he had. He's had Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones. Like you said, the second they found out how to stop Jonathan Taylor, he turned into Danny Pennies. And unfortunately, I'm sad. Sucks they got injured. Hope he comes back even better. But the Colts, my question is, I would imagine the Colts re-sign him. But that makes things, the cap's going to hit. And I wonder, you don't have your first round pick this year or next year, things could get a bit messy.
You kind of don't have a choice. You kind of have a choice now, because you won too much to have a high draft pick, and you don't, like you said, you don't have your first round pick next year. So it's like you kind of have no choice but to marry up to Daniel Jones. And
do you want to stick with Anthony Richardson?
At this point, I think you should just trade him. I feel like, and first of all, one thing on Anthony Richardson, I don't think this kid should have been like a number 4 pick overall. And it's not even, he didn't play enough football.
No, he did not.
What do you have, 7, 8 stars in Florida or something like that? Barely 14 stars, whatever it is. That's not enough football for me. And the thing is, as the Colts, you know this. You have to know this. I would hope you do your homework on who you're going to draft, especially a quarterback. And then you thrust him in there as a day one starter in his rookie year, knowing that he's not ready.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
I was about to say this. Yeah.
Again, me and my dad have had this conversation. We agree every single time. NFL scouts and GMs are so in love with the quarterback position. They are so dazed and dazzled that it's like a man or woman when they fall in love. Any red flags just go out the window, and it's unbelievable. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. He's 6'5". Who cares? He runs
a 4.4.
He runs a 4.4. One person said it best. He can't hit the broadside of a barn, but he can do a backflip in his underwear. That was a real quote that was said.
That's crazy.
But
first of all, that's a story for another day. My thing is, man, look, okay, yeah, the physical traits were there, but you still have to coach him to be a quarterback.
Yes.
I was dumbfounded when I found out first that he was going to be a day one starter. I was like, this kid is nowhere near ready, and they're throwing him into the wolves to fail.
That's actually one thing I talked about with Peter on the podcast, that they see one flashy play from a quarterback or a player in college. mostly quarterbacks, and they're like,
Zach Wilson.
he's a day one. I'm drafting day one. Like, you have to develop these players. That's why Josh Allen is who he is. They developed him, and AR is super talented. You look at the eye test. He's got the arm. He could run, but can he read coverages? Can he break down defenses? That's what makes a quarterback different.
For every Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, there are about 10 Trey Lances and Josh Rosens. You're not going to hit on most of these guys. You're just not. I'm sorry. It's the case. I understand it. Ever since Mahomes came into the league, Josh Allen, all these guys, you want to get that home run hitter. You want to get that clutch performer. You want to get that next Tom Brady, really. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. It's just not. But hey, if they really want to, I think Anthony Richardson would be a phenomenal tight end for them alongside Tyler Warren.
All joking aside, I think he really could. It's like he has the body type to be.
He absolutely does. And not only that, do you trust the Colts? The Colts, the same team that wasted Andrew Luck. You're trusting that team to develop a quarterback? I would rather trust the Joker in developing a quarterback than the Indianapolis Colts. There are very few franchises I do not trust when it comes to developing QBs. The New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, those are three teams that come to mind.
Agreed.
It's incredible.
Agreed. So one more game in the AFC before we transition to one topic in the NFC. This one hurts. Ravens and Steelers. My Ravens lost a close game to the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, 27-22. There was a very controversial call at the end of the game, and I'm just going to start off and say this: that was a touchdown. I don't know what a catch is anymore in the NFL. Isaiah Likely has the ball in his hands. He extends it to get it away from the defender who's raking at it, and he literally takes 3 steps. And the explanation was like, no football move after the catch. I'm like, he's in the freaking end zone. What football move are you making in the end zone with the football?
That's a touchdown. Let's be real. That's a touchdown. There's no
fellas. Like, did the Ravens get robbed here? Tell me something here.
Oh yeah.
Let me say this. Yes, but you should never put yourself in that position.
Agreed.
Where you have to rely on the refs. Even like a few months ago when the Eagles lost to the Broncos, on that, there could have been pass interference on the Hail Mary. Everyone was like, "Oh, there should have been PI." You should never, ever, 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 ever put yourself into that position. And relying on the refs to win you games, you're gonna lose. Like, you don't deserve to win.
100% agree.
But yeah, that was a bad call. I'll be honest. Even if whoever won this game, I don't think the outcome of the end of the season would have changed. No offense. I don't think either of these teams are playoff contenders. One of them's somehow going to make it.
Yep.
And that is, if you were to tell me a year ago that the AFC North would be the worst worst division in the NFL, I would have believed you, to be honest, because the NFL, you never know. But as you're a Ravens fan. What do the Ravens need to do next year to get back to being a dominant football team? Because to be honest, I don't know. You could say fire John Harbaugh, but do you really want to put yourself through that?
Yeah. So speaking on your take about the refs, 100% agree with you. You in any sport, you never want to be in a situation where I need the ref to bail me out, because most of the time you're going to get disappointed. It was a terrible first half by the Ravens offense. They managed to put up 3 points in the first half. That's not going to get it done. So you're playing catch up for most of the game, and now you're in a position to win, and you're hoping that calls go your way. That's hard. I mean, most teams, unless you're the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, you're probably not gonna get those calls going your way. Sorry, shots fired to Kansas City, whatever you want to say. For the draft going forward, what the Ravens need to get back to being the Ravens. First of all, we gotta work on this offensive line here, because. And John Harbaugh swears by Daniel Faalele and Andrew Voorhees at the left and right guard. I know he sees what everyone else is seeing. These guys are not getting it done. In fact, they're getting Lamar Jackson injured. If you can't protect your quarterback, you're not going to be a very good football team. The glaring weakness is clearly the right guard and the left guard. So they have to draft replacements for those. The other thing, on defense, there is no pressure. The edge rushers are not getting home. If you cannot get home with blitzes, you have to send more guys. And you know what that does to your secondary? It puts them in compromising positions. No matter how good you are on paper, if you cannot get home and put pressure on the quarterback, that quarterback is going to pick you apart. If you're playing a good to great quarterback. Aaron Rodgers,
I know, I get it.
Hall of Famer. What do you think he's going to do if he's got time to throw?
Oh yeah,
are you kidding me?
Ooh.
I don't care. I don't care if he is 42 years old. He's still Aaron Rodgers, and he's still got it. I don't know if you guys
barbecue chicken alert.
He hasn't been the problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers all season long. It's been the defense that he spent all his money on. So for anybody that's saying Aaron Rodgers was the problem, you're not watching the games. No. Aaron Rodgers did whatever he wanted out there yesterday. There was no pass rush, zero. So you have to address that. Get back to being the ferocious Ravens defense that you used to be, where guys like Terrell Suggs were getting to the quarterback and striking fear in the quarterback. They need to buffer up the linebacker position. Look, I love Roquan Smith. I love Teddy Buchanan. You got to figure out how to bolster that linebacker room. And I think Marlon Humphrey is on his last leg. I think it's time to get another corner out there. I know Nate Wiggins is kind of like, ascending. I think Nate Wiggins is going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Kyle Hamilton's going excellent safety. I think he's the best safety in the NFL in my opinion. But you got to figure it out with this corner group. A lot of it's really this defense. Then the offensive line. You got to figure it out. And then wide receiver, something that the Ravens can never seem to get right.
I said this in the last.
I said something.
Zay Flowers, first Pro Bowl drafted tight end, first Pro Bowl drafted wide receiver in Ravens history. That's great. That ain't gonna be enough. You got to figure out how to get this wide receiver room more explosive because it's a glaring weakness.
Listen, I get the Ravens are a run heavy team. You have Lamar, you have Derrick Henry, you have Justice Hill, you have all those guys. In my opinion, you guys need an AJ Brown kind of receiver. You need that guy who can just
big play receiver,
big body,
like AJ Brown,
big George Pickens.
I'm in trouble. I need to throw to somebody. He's somewhere down there. I'm in trouble.
You need that.
That's my problem with the Ravens. Is because they ran the ball over 217 against the Steelers, and they still lost.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Zay Flowers is good, but he's 5'9". You need a big body receiver. Like you said, AJ Brown,
George Pickens.
God, I love George Pickens. Thank you, Steelers Nation, for him. Love him.
I can't believe they traded him to you. I was like, you traded away Pickens when you could have had him with DK Metcalf.
My thing is though with the Steelers, I feel like DK isn't. You traded for him, and he's not playing that well in that Steelers. They
finally threw it to him in this past game against the Ravens. Like, hey, we got DK Metcalf. Let's start throwing him the football and see what happens.
Hey, I forgot we traded a second for this guy. Yeah. But
I'm looking at right now. He had 7 catches for 148. DK. So
also let me say this: the Ravens need that X factor big body receiver that is not washed.
Yes.
But Pete,
don't get
this is what the Ravens do famously. We dip into the retirement home for all these Hall of Famers that once upon a time were amazing. Des Bryant, Deshaun Jackson, Odell Beckham Jr. Now D-Hop. I love these guys. Like I'm always gonna be fans of them as wide receivers.
Same.
Yeah.
Can we just get them sooner than when they're on their last couple of years in the league? That's all I'm asking.
Don't be like the Titans.
Yeah. You guys gotta do something fast because you don't want to waste Lamar's prime because Lamar is that guy. Like
everyone saw what this Ravens team looked like without Lamar. When people were saying, "Hey, the Ravens have a stacked team, more stacked than the Bills did last year." That's why Josh Allen won MVP. Look,
any team
Josh Allen played awesome. Josh Allen played awesome, but it's like, hey, when Lamar wasn't in the lineup, you saw what happened. Didn't look good.
Listen, I mean, every team with a star QB is going to be worse when they're not out there. That's just, but yeah, with the Ravens, you need to get that big body receiver. I would look for that in the draft. Honestly, I wouldn't. I know he's hard to find, but find someone like a Darnell Washington. I know he's hard to find, but get that big body tight end as well.
I actually like our tight ends. Like I do like.
I do too.
I mean, I love Andrews. Andrews just got extended another 3 years.
I was surprised.
We'll see what happens there. I was a little surprised too. I'm not going to lie.
I thought he was going to get traded, to be honest.
Me too. But the guy has become a cornerstone with this team, so I get it. We'll see what happens with Isaiah Likely. I think he might get franchise tagged. I don't think the Ravens are just going to let him walk. But yeah, they got to figure out and again, Ravens had a chance to get these guys. George Pickens was literally picked one spot after the Ravens picked, I think, offensive lineman or something like that. And it's like, I get you need a good offensive line. I understand that, but sometimes you got to have some guys. Like, you got to have a guy out there where it's like, look, I don't care what play I'm doing. Just get this guy the football.
Exactly.
Yeah, when it comes to trade rumors with wide receivers, the Ravens are like the LA Lakers. It's like anytime one's available, it's always rumored to the Ravens every single time, and it seems like they never get him. It's incredible. But
No.
yeah, if I was your front office, that's one of the top things I would be looking into.
And if we are going to fire John Harbaugh, it better be for a Marcus Freeman or a Dan Lanning in Oregon. I don't really want and look, I understand they're both unknowns when it comes to the NFL, but those are two college coaches that I actually would believe in. I'm not sure who else in the NFL is available that I would be excited to get. Mike McCarthy's going to be out there. Bill Belichick. I don't really care what he says. I feel like
you do not want Jordan Hudson with you.
You don't want Mike McCarthy.
I don't think I want Mike McCarthy either. I think things might get a little worse than that. But speaking of Mike McCarthy and his former team, topic near and dear to the both of you guys. The Eagles have been a little inconsistent the past few weeks, and the grip in the NFC East is all of a sudden starting to slip a little bit as the Dallas Cowboys have surged a little bit. They just come up. Now they came off a tough loss on Thursday night against the Detroit Lions, but this high-powered offense has propelled Dallas back into the playoff conversation, where it even begs the question: could we see the Dallas Cowboys possibly catch the Philadelphia Eagles?
No.
If the inconsistencies continued, this is a big game against the Chargers.
Let's not even put that into question. It's not going to happen. Everything's going to be okay.
Like, you see? So there's an episode where I saw this man turn so red because he was nervous. He knows what about to happen.
Here we go.
But also,
let the delusion unfold.
Relax.
Yeah, get it out.
If the Eagles do lose, though, against the Chargers, we have a chance. If they win, they have that division.
Okay, you have like a 0.01% chance. Calm down, buddy.
Relax.
All right.
You play the Bills also, so you got to win that one as well.
Listen. If Herbert's out, then I like your chance.
Thinking about it too, you're like,
not yet. If things start unraveling, then maybe. But if you guys actually beat the Lions, I would actually be a little more nervous. But you didn't. Because George Pickens decided he wanted to sleep that drive. Your defense, remember that you're the 2025 Cowboys defense. So it was great to watch, if you're asking me. I loved it. I hope you do that every week.
Absolutely not.
I said the Cowboys defense. Well, now look, I thought Jerry Jones actually did a good job with this Micah Parsons trade, the way that it turned out, because it gave him some picks to go and get Quentin Williams, go and get Kenny Clark, go and get Logan Wilson to kind of be that veteran linebacker presence, getting Overshown back, who I think is going to be pretty good. Yes. Getting your two safeties back. This is like momentum. I think you're building momentum for next year. I don't think that you made the playoffs. I didn't think you made the playoffs this year anyway.
Yeah.
Just with just the glaring needs that you still need. Now look, your offense, you're set. Bring back Javonte Williams as your running back. I think he's been very good for you. You got Ferguson at tight end, but these two guys, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I mean, other than Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I don't know a scarier, wide receiver duo in the NFL.
Yes. I was just talking about this with my dad the other day. I was like, regardless I just want us to end the season strong. If we miss the playoffs, so be it. But it's on for next year. And don't forget, we also have 2 first-round picks that we could also use for a pass rusher and the O-line. Majority I probably use on the DB because, God, our DBs are so bad. I saw Bland get torched by Jahmyr Gibbs like 3 straight times. It was disgusting to see. But yeah, the future's bright. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are just dogs. I don't care. Put them in man coverage. Pick your poison. And you have Ferguson up the middle.
All right. You've been happy for too long. Let's bring you back down to reality.
You have A.J. Brown. Anytime you throw him the ball, you guys lose. When you don't throw him the ball, he's reading a book on the bench.
Listen,
what you got
once Patulo's gone, everything will be okay. Once Brian Daboll or Mike McDaniel – actually, I don't know. Mike McDaniel might stay. But once Brian Daboll comes to Philly, everything's going to be A-okay. But listen, you got to re-sign George Pickens.
Please.
But the problem is
that's not a given with your owner and GM. He tends to kind of let this ride out into the summer and create more headlines and stuff.
That's not even the problem here, Dan, JG. You're giving Dak so much money. You're giving CD so much money, And now you're gonna have to give Pickens, what, $30 million, maybe even more than that, because you're gonna have to pay him
25 to 30 around there.
He's gonna demand a lot of money. He might want to be the highest paid receiver. Come on, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But
I don't think so either. Like, Pickens showed you something.
And the problem,
if he demanded that.
Like, what's the highest paid? Who's the highest paid receiver right now?
Jamar Chase. I think it's Jamar Chase.
How much he got?
It's either Chase or Jefferson. I think
it's Chase right now. I think I could be wrong. I believe Chase is making $40 million a year.
Oh, okay.
So
probably won like close to 30, 35.
I don't know, man. Pickens might want it all. And if that's the case, if you pay Pickens that much, you guys are going to be the NFC version of the Bengals. I'm sorry. It's true because you're paying Dak all this money. You're paying CD. You're paying constant drops of Lamb all this money. And now you're paying George Pickens all this money. How are you going to pay the rest of your team? How are you going to pay Quinnen Williams? How are you going to pay?
He already got 3 years left, so he's covered.
Yeah, but eventually, it's 3 years. You're going to have to pay your other guys. And it's just, are you going to have enough to build around Dak and everyone? And mind you, we talked about this last episode.
He's crazy.
Dak's getting old.
This is absurd that he said this. Absurd.
But you have to think about it. It's in the realm of possibilities.
A rebuild? I'm not
saying no. We're not talking about a rebuild.
Okay, I think you're gonna
although I think it is inevitable.
Oh, like
it is inevitable, just like the Steelers. But I don't think if you pay George Pickens all this money, I don't know how you're going to be able to build around Dak Prescott.
That's
and
fair.
the defense. And I love that you'd be in that predicament because you guys would never be good enough to do it because your team is never good enough to do it.
There's going to have to be some restructuring with Dak's contract, I think, because you need to continue to invest in this defense as well. Because I think Trayvon Diggs, I think, is on his last leg. I think you got to really shore up that cornerback position over there.
I think he's done with the Cowboys. So
I think we really got to work on that. Now, George Pickens, look, you got to do everything you can to keep him. Restructure some contracts, figure out a franchise tag with some incentive. Do something to make sure that he doesn't leave that room. Do what the Bengals did with Trey Hendrickson. Give him a raise or something like that. Figure something out to keep him in the building.
I don't know. I wouldn't follow the Bengals approach to free agents.
That's fair. Actually. That's actually fair. Don't basically put all your money in 3 players and just allow your defense to be historically bad in the past 50 years.
Well, I mean, their defense has been historically bad, so they're not too far off.
Yeah, not too far off. You're right. Guys, awesome conversation here, man. Again, guys, make sure you follow Peter and Dan on the Before the Snap podcast. Guys, I want to thank you again for volunteering some of your time here to get on the podcast with me. We would love to have you guys back. We're going to be doing some football.
Trust me, we will.
Forward. Absolutely, man. You guys stay in contact.
Everyone follow JG, follow his podcast. Just support him. He's next up. Just keep at it, man. We love what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
It's so much fun to watch.
Absolutely.